Hi there, everybody. Douglas Weed here, the wonderful Gamers Closet, and I wanted to have another Q&A with everybody, and wanted to talk about kind of a range of topics this evening. Um, so, um, First, I wanted to um, talk about what's coming to the channel. Uh, hey, nice to see you on, and let's talk about what's coming to the channel. As many people realize this week, I've dropped out a new episode. Oh, hey, Craig, nice to see you. And I dropped out a new review on how to play episode today, which was on Pizza Party, which I want to, first off, I want to show everybody the commercial of Pizza Party, just as if you haven't seen it yet, I would recommend watching it. Here is the 1980s commercial for Pizza Party.
Party, pizza party, party, pizza party.
Hey, look here, there's a real hot game. Pizza Party, that's the name. You make a pizza, as you can see, with onions or mushrooms or pepperoni. You could lose if you have to switch, so you'd better be sharp, you better be slick.
Party, pizza party.
Pizza Party
Come on!
from Parker Brothers.
Pizza party.
So yeah, if you haven't checked out the video, I would recommend it. Like I said, it dropped out today, and I have a couple other things dropping this week. The other thing, it's dropping tomorrow. I'm doing a live playthrough of Milton Bradley's Sail Ho, which is a 1970s game from Milton Bradley. We have to sail around the lake, and it's kind of a weird little race game. So I am doing a playthrough of this, so that should be dropping out tomorrow at 7 a.m. And it should be a nice time. Uh, these are more of the kids games from the 70s that Milton Bradley put out. They put a whole pile of them out, and I think that they don't get the attention that they deserve. They're kind of teaching kids how to um, deal with colors, deal with other people, things like that. So I don't think they get the attention they deserve, and not a lot of people talk about them. There's a whole series of these, but this one is getting a playthrough tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. So I'm going to open up the Q&A a little early also. So if you want to ask any questions, please feel free. One of the questions that I got recently was, how did I start collecting board games? Surprisingly, the person that asked that question was my mother. So a little bit of the history of all of this is, when I was a kid, I used to get board games for Christmas. I got really into computer games in the 90s, kind of, because I didn't have a lot of people to play. But I kind of went back to board gaming. Another thing that people don't talk about a lot are these wonderful books. So if you don't know what these are game books. These are the choose your own adventure books that came out from like 79, published all the way almost until 2000. And when I was a kid, I was huge on these. The newer ones kind of got a little, they didn't give you as many options. I think you only had like 5 or 6 different endings, where the original ones had like 40 endings, and you had to try hard not to get horribly killed. But I mean, these are some of the examples. I dug a whole box of these out of storage, um, just so that way I can talk about them, because this is kind of where I started. I got really big on these. Um, through the mid 80s. And most people don't remember game books because um, there's a whole series of these choose your own adventure books. There was an Indiana Jones series. They did a Disney series. They did, I think, the 90s when Goosebumps got really big. They came out with a series of these. But I mean, these are some of the original ones um, back in the mid 80s that I had. Like the Cave of Time, By Balloon to the Sahara, Space and Beyond, where you had to deal with outer space. My personal favorite of Who Killed Harlow Thrombey, which was a amazing detective story, and I read this one a lot and died in this one a lot. And then there was uh, The Spy for George Washington. Yeah, I loved these things. And these kind of spiked my imagination. I got into gaming. I got into RPGs. I got into a lot of stuff because of those, and um, a lot of it kind of just bloomed from there. And like I said, I got in when the '90s rolled around. When I got into high school, I got into computer gaming, and my friends and I did a lot of that. But in the early 2000s, I started to actually going to gaming conventions, and I kind of went back to my roots, and it kind of spawned from there. And I've been happily there ever since. So that's kind of where I got into this, and um, I hope that answers that question. But like I said, the floor is open if anyone wants to bring up any questions, thoughts, memories, anything, and I'm more than happy to talk with anybody. Um, Something else I'm working on the channel is um, anything new that drops out is taken care of automatically. Um, I'm going back and closed captioning everything because I know there's a lot of people that they have issues with sometimes the way I talk because sometimes my words get pushed together. I have that California accent, which is a little off for some people, especially if they're not um, used to American accents, like if they're in England or Australia or somewhere else. And I'm also in the process of trying to expand it into other areas so that way um, someone in France or someone in Germany or someone in Indonesia or India has no problem with me going over the rules. They completely understand what I'm saying. So I'm going through right now and closed captioning everything, especially for anyone that have a hearing issue. So I'm backlogging all of my material, which is currently 174 videos. So I'm in the process of releasing everything new with closed captioning, but also going back and fixing all the old stuff because there's a lot of issues with the system doing automatic subtitling and not getting words correct, not hearing words, and yeah, it's not pretty. Um, the system, for whatever reason, thinks my name is Douglas Wheat. I don't know why, so I have to systematically go back and fix that all the time. So, um, but I'm currently working on that project along with trying to release new things. Um, I'm releasing a review on how to play, a playthrough, and an unboxing every week. So there's 3 episodes dropping every single week. And I'm also in the process of trying to put together some more of the material for the band board game series. And I do have some solo plays that I have planned for later this year, which should be fun. Um, a lot of those are Halloween themed, so they should come out kind of later. But another question that got brought up that I wanted to talk about was Grail games. If you don't know what a Grail game is, it's uh, it's a game that is on your kind of like bucket list, and it's a game that you want that may be hard to get a hold of because it's rare or expensive or something like that. And I have every just about every gamer has a list of Grail games. Let's see. How much is a pizza party game cost? Pizza party run. You can get it online, maybe $20. Um, that's the copy I have is I brought that back to LA in the last batch when I went down there, and I picked up 14 games from a nice lady from the vintage board game Facebook user group, um, which worked out for me. She was just trying to get rid of games, and it was in that giant pile of stuff that she had, so I scooped that up. But yeah, you can go online and find a copy of it for about $20 on eBay or Amazon. It's out of print, but you can still find it. But yeah, Grail games are like I said, they're every just about every person has a series of them. Um, so I thought I'd take this opportunity to talk about the games that are on my list. It was 12 games. The 12th game I eliminated off the list finally because I was able to get a hold of it, which is Bombshell, which is on my channel. I did an unboxing on it because the copy I had was still new from 1981. And I did a last week. I did a review on how to play on it. I've done a actual playthrough on it. It is on the banned board game list as well because it's no longer in print. So it's a pain game to find, which I did from a. I bought it on eBay from a person in London and paid a ridiculous amount of shipping on it to get it. But so my top, uh, as it sits right now, my top 11 games that are left on my Grail list are here. One of my Grail games is Haunted. Uh, Haunted House is a good game. Um, it's uh, it's not on my Grail list, but it's a good game. Um, if I found a copy of it, I wouldn't turn it down, but I know it gets a little pricey. My Grail list is a little it's a little different. Um, some of these games have different meaning for me. Some of them are games I won when I was a kid. Some of these games are games that are just bizarre that I want to play because they're bizarre. Uh, so, um, so let's show you the list I have here. So the first Grail game that's on my list is Escape from New York from TSR Games. Escape from New York. Now there is a Kickstarter that I will talk about in a little bit about that they just came out with a new version of Escape from New York. But this is the original one from TSR, which is a card game. It's kind of a you have to go in and try to find the president. It's a little more involved, but it's TSR games are bizarre in their own way, and I like TSR games, um, but they're a pain to find and they get really pricey. So, um, Escape from New York is on my list. I think this game came out at the same time as the film did, so I think it's like 81 or 82 when this game came out. So it's a game that's on my list. Another game that's on my Grail list, which I'm pretty sure Craig, this one might be on yours as well, is the Green Ghost game. The Green Ghost game is a transit game. It glows in the dark. It's it's a really interesting looking game, and it's a game that I've wanted to pick up for a long time. But it's a pain to find a copy that's complete because it's always missing parts. And Transitgram games are normally expensive. So if you can find them, great. If not, they're like I said, they're a pain to find. So another game that's on my list is Harpoon, which is a let's see, Harpoon the Whale Hunt game is a Gabriel game that's published in 1955. There's not a lot even on Board Game Geek on this game. I've seen a couple of copies over the years. They always go really expensive, and it's a game where you have to go hunt whales for whatever reason. But the whales can ram you, so it's a game that I've wanted to pick up for a long time because the topic is so bizarre. I've never seen another game like it. I have a copy too. You have okay, that's nice. You have 2 copies of Green Ghost. That's great, Greg. Lucky. It's a game I've been looking for a long time, but like I said, it's a pain to find. Um, like I said, Harpoon's on my list. Uh, this next game that's on my list is on there because of not just of how bizarre it is, of how rare it is, and I just really want to play this game because I have no idea how this is going to work. I think it's an electronic game, but this game came out in like 1956 or 57 or something like that, and it's the Uranium Rush game, where you have to go and buy property in this game and then search for uranium with this kind of a electronic stick um, Geiger counter. So you're in the process of trying to look for uranium on this map that has all of these peg holes in it. So I just really want to play this game because I have no idea how this game works. So it's such a bizarre game. I mean, the 50s came out with some really weird stuff. I mean, you have the Milkman game, you have Uranium Rush, you have multiple different games like that. And I think it's like I said, it's a game that I really want to try playing. Let's see. I'm assuming you want 12 o'clock high. That's the game you're looking for? Um, yeah, it's that game's hard to find as well. Um, it's like I said, there's a lot of those games from the 50s and 60s that are just a pain to find. So, um, another game that's on my list is the Dark Tower. The Dark Tower, well, they got sued over it because they didn't get proper copyright ratings on this game, and it was a pain to find, and it's really, really expensive. The Dark Tower's on my Grail list. Um, the Destroy Death Star game from 1977 is on my list. I have the Escape from Death Star, the one from 77, which they've actually reprinted that game, but it's the Destroy game. You actually have to go through the trench and blow it up, and yeah, it's a game that I wanted to pick up. Another game that I want to pick up is Seance, which Seance, this game goes for a couple $100 online, and it has a little record on the inside of the table here, like a teeny little record, and the records always get damaged. But this game is a pain to get a nice copy of. You can always find part copies of it, but most of the time they're missing the records. So this is the game that's on my list. Which I saw someone that actually was refurbishing the records on this online, but they were selling these copies for like $800 because they were going back and refurbishing them all and putting new diamond tip record needles on the teeny little record players that are in there. So Seance is on my list. Another one I have on my list is the Have Gun Will Travel board game. If you're not familiar with Have Gun Will Travel, you have to play as a paladin. You have to go around and deal with problems in the Old West. And then he had his business card. But Parker Brothers put this out in the 60s, which is it's another game I wanted to pick up for a long time. Also on my Grail list is Tornado Rex, where you have to scale a mountain, but you have to deal with Rex coming down the mountain and knocking you out because he spins. So it's another one of those Parker Brother games that came out in the 80s, kind of like at the same time with Milton Bradley's Fireball Island and It from the Pit. So it's when they came out with those really weird off the wall games in the 80s. So it's a game I've always wanted to pick up. Another game I've wanted to pick up for a long time is A Line in the Sand, which is a TSR war game from 1991, which is a game about going into Iraq in 91, so Invasion Desert Storm. So it's Desert Storm, the board game. So it's the Allied coalition versus the Iraqi Republican Guard. Uh, it's a really interesting off the wall TSR war game that I really want to play. Another game that I had, now this game I had as a kid, and unfortunately it didn't survive my childhood very well, and I have never been able to find another copy of it. And I'm in the process of trying to replace it, but that would be Tiger's Electronic Battle Cry. So Tiger, if you're not familiar with it, put out little uh, handheld games in the late 80s, early 90s. And they were really cheap. But for whatever reason, they put out this board game where you have to scale a hill, but it's electronic because it keeps track of who can go up the hill and tells you what colors to move. So this is the 11th game on my list. So I'm in the process of trying to replace Electronic Battle Cry, but like I said, it's a pain to find this game. So those are my Grail games. But I'm in the process, like I said, trying to find other games that are out there. So, anyone have any questions or anything like anybody would like to talk about this evening? Because like I said, I'm kind of doing this Q&A off the cuff, and I'd like to hear any questions anyone has or comments or thoughts. Because I'm just looking forward to talking about board games this evening. And, what else is going on out there? So, as for game reading, I've actually been picking up reading books. So I just recently picked up a copy of Wargaming Airborne Operations, which is written by a gentleman by the name. Let me pull this up here. It's written by a gentleman named Donald Featherstone. Now, Donald Featherstone, which I found his Wikipedia page here, he's a British author that wrote more than 40 wargaming books in military history. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2013 after he fell in his house at the age of 95. But I've recently come across a lot of his book material, and they're fantastic books. I don't know if you can see this very well, but yeah, I mean they're fantastic books. He has charts, graphs. He's got wargaming setups in here. Currently, right now, I think the section I'm reading through right now is about Operation Market Garden, how to wargame with airborne troops or tabletop wargaming. So, like I said, I'm currently reading Featherstone's Wargaming Airborne Operations. So it's a fantastic book. If you haven't heard of Donald Featherstone before, I'd recommend looking him up because, like I said, he has a lot of books out there. Naval combat, naval military, wargaming, and he has a lot of photos in his material of actual war games being played, so you can actually see what he's talking about, like custom bridges with tanks rolling across them, airborne troops, and then even in the back of the book, he gives you ideas of manufacturing kits you can get a hold of, so you actually can make the figures that are in his photos. So I think Featherstone is a very easy author to read, and he comes up with a lot of interesting ideas. So I would recommend taking a look at Donald Featherstone's works, and maybe you might have an interesting time, or see if there's anything that you might be able to take from his thoughts and work them into your own games. Let's see. Let's see here. There's a 50s or 60s game that you would love to get your hands on. I would be able. Is there a 50s or 60s game that you would love to get your hands on? I would consider to be the holy grail of their time. The holy grail of their time. Now the 50s put out a lot of interesting things, um, but they were all kind of off. The 60s were cluttered with just about everything you could think of. Um, TV shows, there was cartoon shows, you name it, it was there. I don't know about their time. It's the board gaming market in the 50s and 60s was different than now. It wasn't as mainstream because gaming now, people have, gotten into it. I think from the stats I read on it, board gaming is like a $14 billion market nowadays because there are so many people that have gotten into board gaming. And um, I think it's, like I said, it's different. Um, the 50s still had a lot of outside play. They still had a lot of family. A board game was for family time, and a lot of those board games are for family time. Now, there are really off the wall board games. Like I said, Uranium Rush is one of them, Harpoon is one of them. There's a weird milkman game where you have to go from house to house, picking up and dropping off bottles of milk. There are there are some really off 50s games that are just not, you know, they don't carry over to today's time frame because a lot of the concepts are no longer the same. We don't get milk delivered to our house anymore. We have to go to the store. Um, like I said, the 60s were very movie and TV centric, and they really pushed the envelope towards kids toys. So a lot of those board games are rated from like 7 to 14 or something like that, and they're very simplistic. There's a massive pile of roll spin and movement games. Half of them are not great games, um, and they slowly started evolving into these weird mechanics. Now, Ideal put out some interesting stuff, like Haunted House, as Craig brought up. How I've talked about Sinking of the Titanic, and some of those games are just they have interesting mechanics to them, but the games are a little weird. Um, Unlike games nowadays, which are very rules heavy, they're designed for groups of people that are 18 and over. They're designed for heavy strategy, heavy um, cooperation games, heavy 12, 14-page rule books like Avalon Hill used to do. Um, so it, that's it's a really hard question because I wouldn't say they're really the holy grail of their time. Maybe nowadays because they're so different, and some of that is a nice retro feel to go back to. Like a good example is, Operation came out in 1965, and uh, the original cover has the doctors smoking on it, so you can kind of gauge when the time frame it came out, which they phased that out. Um, and the like Operation is a nice dexterity based game, which I think carried over the years very well. But there are multiple bad examples of games like that. Like I said, Milkman is not a common game, and it's kind of lost on new people. So unless you know the history of it, it kind of loses. Um, but great question. Let's see. Uh, I've been reading The Unforgettable Buzz on Electric Football and Tutor Games. So I'm assuming the Unforgettable Buzz is the title of the book, and they're talking about the old like electronic games that move around. I'm assuming that's what you're referring to, Craig. Those are, like I said, those are a little more interesting games, but I look at electronic games from that period of time. They're more toy games than they are actual games because there's not that strategic element to it. Plus, none of the vibration kind of you don't have a lot of control on it. So I don't feel that they're very. Don't get me wrong, they're decent, but I think there are better. options, but they're nice retro look to them. But I don't think they hold up as as well. Um, but I'll definitely give the book a look. I haven't heard of this particular book before, and I do appreciate you bringing it up. So, um, so I'm going to take this particular opportunity since there's no current questions on the table. I'm going to bring up that currently the game Hollywood 1947 that was made by Facade Games. I covered a lot of their products in March, which was Salem 1692, Tortuga 1667, Bristol 1350, which, Craig, by the way, I talked to Travis at Facade, and your game should be me reaching you shortly. He said he mailed it out. So um, hopefully that will uh, be coming your way very, very soon. But I'm going to take the opportunity to talk about Hollywood 1947. Hollywood 1947 had a Kickstarter in January, but when talking with Travis, he said there is a way to get on the back end of that if you don't order a copy of it. So I'm going to show you the introduction teaser for Hollywood 1947, and I will be putting up the link here in the video. So that way, I don't know if it's clickable or not, but I will also be putting it into the bottom comment section of the live stream when it is posted. So you can go to it if you want. So that way you still have the option to get in on the end of the Kickstarter if you really want to. The Kickstarter and I think that it has a costume expansion to it. It runs about 27 bucks. So overall, it's not too bad. But here is the Hollywood 1947 introductory trailer.
Hollywood, the city of stars, where artists create and revolutionaries push the bounds of possibility. For years, they've dazzled us with their spine-tingling monsters, swoon-worthy romances, and gut-busting comedies. But is there evil lurking inside the very studios that brought you these masterpieces? Congress has been informed that communists may have infiltrated the very studios that you know and love. Messages that seek to undermine the very fabric of America are being slipped into movies right under our noses. Which of these Hollywood stars is more than they seem? Who wears a facade of patriotism, and who is out only for themselves? Corruption is on the rise. The heart and soul of America is at stake. Hollywood is in crisis. It's up to you to determine who is for us and who is against us.
So yeah, Hollywood 1947. I joined the Kickstarter on this, and I'm really looking forward to this particular game. Um, uh, yeah, Craig, I agree. It does look really cool. I'm really looking forward to it. Um, so here is the link if you would like to get in on the Kickstarter of this game. And like I said, I will be putting this link in the bottom of the comments below when this video is reissued, so that way people can go back and watch it. But like I said, Hollywood 1947, you can still get on the Kickstarter for it, and it runs, like I said, about 27 bucks. So overall, it's not a crazy game, and it follows their Dark City series. So if you check out any of the other videos that I did on their products, this one I think is very on par with that. And I'm really looking forward to this game. I don't say that a lot, especially on newer games, but I'm really looking forward to this game. So if you want to get in on the back end of it, like I said, they sent me the link here. So that way you can get in on it, and I would recommend doing it. Um, I think their planned delivery for this game is in December of this year. So, and like I said, it was a Kickstarter game, so they were able to get that. and fully fund it. And then plus this game the Kickstarter here actually comes with the costume pack expansion pack for it. So you are getting the extra bonus parts from the Kickstarter in this because of this link. That won't come with the normal base game if you buy it through a normal store. So I would recommend taking a look at it. So let's see. What else did I want to talk about? There are a couple of game conventions coming up in California. I don't know if anybody watching this is interested in it, but there are a few conventions coming up. We have KublaCon in Burlingame, which if you're not familiar where Burlingame is just south of San Francisco. It is on May 26th through 29th. I am planning on going to KublaCon, and they are requiring vaccination cards to get in, but there are no mask requirements. You don't have to deal with any of the other nonsense. Um, but because it is a Bay Area county, they're still requiring the vaccination cards to get in. So, um, another convention that's coming up is the South Pacific Game Convention, which is September 1st through 4th in Santa Clara at the Marriott Hotel. If you're not familiar with that convention is a heavy, heavy tabletop wargaming convention. It's been going on for years and years and years. We went last year. I had a blast at it. Those are the two major conventions that are coming up uh, in California this year. Um, so if you're in the area, I would recommend dropping by. Santa Clara, if you're not familiar where that is, that's just north of San Jose, just south of San Francisco. So it's in the central Bay Area, and it's right around the corner from the San Jose Airport, which is an international airport. So I would recommend taking a look at it. Let's see. Uh, Survey away for right now. And like I said, I plan on going to both of these conventions. So if you are interested, um, you're more than welcome to ask me questions on it. I am planning on doing a little bit of photo streaming from these conventions, so that will be bringing to the channel. So I am looking forward to that. Let's see here. Greg, I wanted to know what the price of Combat and 12 Hog High on eBay or Amazon. You're not going to find them on Amazon. Both of those games are so old, Amazon will not stock them. If they do, they're going to be crazily priced. Um, let's see what. Okay, so let's take a look and answer your question. So, that's that board game. Currently, let's see. Let's pull you up on the screen here. So currently, Combat the board game for my deal. You can find. See, the problem is there is an almost complete copy for $16, which you're not going to find pieces for it if you buy an almost complete copy. A 100% complete copy, you're looking at $65, almost $70, not counting the shipping. So that's pretty standard. You sometimes you can find these games a little cheaper, but it's to find the ABC board game $7.50, huh? Why is it $7.50? Uh, Not sure if complete, which generally means it's not complete. So yeah, if you want to find a complete copy of Combat, you're looking at $65. If you're looking at 12 o'clock high, let's see, 12 o'clock high. There are currently no copies on eBay. So, like I said, it's a rarer board game, and you're going to have to systematically look for it. So, I hope that answers your question. But Yeah, Amazon's not going to have them. Uh, eBay has a copy of Combat for $65 currently, plus shipping, and 12 o'clock high is not on eBay. So they're hit and miss. But great question. Glad I could help you with that. Anybody else have any other questions out there at all they'd like to talk about or anything? Let's see what else I got going on. A couple of games I've added to the channel. Now this is still this pile of stuff that I picked up from February, March. I didn't go over a lot of it last time. Here's a little bit more of it because I had nothing to get back out of storage from where I picked it up at. So let's turn off the ticker tape. And so a couple games I picked up. So I picked up a weird card game called 12 Caesars, which is you have to get 100 cards in a score pad, and you have to collect Caesar cards, and you can steal them or assassinate them. So there's political intrigue on this. So, but you have to collect Caesars. So I picked it up as it seemed kind of weird. Um, it's from 1997 from GameWorks Games that I've never heard of it. So I happened to find this at a thrift store, so I kind of scooped it up. It was real cheap. Which I'm looking. It's still mostly sealed. Yeah, the cards are still sealed. So there is going to be I am going to be doing an unboxing on this just because the cards are still sealed, which should be coming in several weeks. So I would recommend keeping an eye out for that. Another game I picked up, which is called Wreckage, a tabletop game. A game of guns and gasoline from Fantasy Flight Games. So this is one of their older Fantasy Flight game series. You're kind of in like a demolition car, and you have to build up your car with guns or cannons, or you can drop mines, or you can put giant metal spikes on your car and ram people, or rocket engines. So you can kind of soup your car up, but it's like demolition derby, and you're trying to collect gasoline. So it's this really weird off the wall game, and then you have to most of these cards have special ability cards, and then they actually have speedometer gauges, so you can actually pick up speed or lose speed, and you can make bank turns, which you actually can do damage to your question or to your car. So yeah, so I picked up a copy of Wreckage, which I'm looking forward to playing this at some point. But it's a really interesting game. You're very welcome. I'm glad I could help. So, are you ever going to do a playthrough with Dracula? I'm assuming you mean Fury of Dracula, because there are several Dracula games. Um, if it's Fury of Dracula, I am planning on doing that at some point, but I need people for that, and that's a long video. And the problem with that type of game is one of the players' pieces are not on the board, so it's really hard to track it down. So I'm working on that. So it will happen eventually. If you mean like the game of Dracula, which I've got up here, I already have a review to play on the channel. Playthrough is coming this year around October. But that's the British kids game that I'm doing. But like I said, Fury of Dracula from Fantasy Flight is coming at some point. I just have to figure out the logistics on it. So bear with it. Another weird game I picked up is Blind Justice, the Game of Lawsuits from Avalon Hill. I found it at a thrift store, and it was weird enough. I thought I'd pick it up. It has 168 cases, money cards, pawns, a verdict book. So you're sitting there trying to sue people, I guess. I haven't played it before, and it seemed weird, so I thought I'd pick it up. So, but yeah, they wrote on the side of the box. It cost me like $4.50. But yeah, the Blind Justice Game of Lawsuits game. So it's an Avalon Hill game, so I figured, what the heck. Um, and finally, a game that I brought up from LA that I had when I was a kid and I replaced is Parker Brothers Don't Wake the Dragon. Now, Don't Wake the Dragon, you play a penguin trying to steal dragon eggs. And this game doesn't require batteries. It's completely mechanical push button operated, kind of like it just has little gears in it. Push something, they start spinning. So the little iceberg shape that this is on. So it's a crazy little game. And I had this game as a kid, so I figured, what the heck. So I scooped it up from again from the lady in Los Angeles, and I brought this back with me as well. So Don't Wake the Dragon is another game I picked up, and it'll come to the channel at some point. Um, I keep trying to pick up more games to bring to the channel because I want to keep this running for a while. And like I said, this channel is home to the weird and obscure, hence 12 Caesars, which is weird and obscure. So I figured, what the heck. So I'm glad I can do that. Yeah, Don't Wake the Dragon is. I had it as a kid, and yeah, I'm looking forward to bringing that as a a rule listed to the channel and playing it. So it is coming at some point. So I'm looking forward to that. But I liked a lot of those weird mechanical games from the '80s. They had some really oddball stuff, like It from the Pit that just spun, and they had the mechanical hand grabbing people, but it was noisy as heck, which was as the game put it, the monster making noises, but it was all the gears moving in the game, and they just rolled with it, not trying to quiet it. You get the little command center that talks to you, kind of like the Omega Virus or Mall Madness talking to you. Um, so yeah, the '80s had some really odd stuff in it. I'm looking forward to bringing to the channel, especially live plays. Live plays on those games are what I really want to do, but I'm working on the logistics so that way you can hear them correctly and you actually get the experience watching how they play and how they work. So they will come to the channel at some point, probably when I get some more equipment. So I do have plans for that. So let's see, anything else? Yeah, I don't have much else. Just anybody wants to any questions or anything else anybody wants to talk about? I'm more than happy to talk to you about. So um, let's see. We can take a look and see what's currently. Let's see what we got on here. Let's see what we've got going on in here. Vintage Ford games complete. So let's take a look and see what we got going on eBay. Well, this is generally how I find stuff on eBay, so we can go through this. So, let's see what we got going on in here. That's different. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer game, 12.95, which doesn't seem too bad. Let's take a look at it. Have the greatest photos. So you have a weird Santa Claus theme reindeer game. Advance 10, go back 10. Huh. The storybook classic Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It's a Cadco game. Cadco games are kind of weird. They come up with their own oddball games. A lot of them are kid themes. Yeah, it's a delightful children's game based on the verse by Robert May. So yeah, it's based on it's ages 4 to 10, so it's based on a child the actual rhyme for it, and then apparently I guess it has the actual rhyme in here, so it teaches kids about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So that's an interesting game. So let's see what else we got coming up on here. We've got Hardened Traveler from 1936. We've got a 3M game for $10 for Twixt. 3M games are interesting. They're all kind of different. Let's see here. What else we got on here? The Aristocrats game. Let's take a look. Let's see what the most expensive game on here is. Shipping and highest first. Let's see. Okay. The Donald Trump game for $10,000. Brand new. It's a little overpriced. Hero Quest for $1,200. It's unpunched, so yeah, there's a lot of pieces to that. So that's semi-realistic. The Munsters game, which is $1,000. The Johnny Quest game from Transagram for $1,000. Someone has a copy of Game Monopoly on here. Game Monopoly on here is $879, which, by the way, is a banned game because they got sued by Parker Brothers. And I did put out a video on this on my banned board game series, so I would recommend taking a look at it if you're interested in it. It's a weird game. It looks interesting the way they built it. It's themed very correctly, and they put a lot of time into it. But like I said, it's a banned game, so it's you're not going to find it. It's rare. Let's see what else we got. We got a Greek game on here for the Greek version of Crossbows and Catapults for $800. Inflation from 1974. Another copy of Game Monopoly for $700. Original copies of the Dark Tower from 1981 for about $400 to $500. Game Monopoly for $550. Copy of Tornado Rex for $329, which is one of the reasons why it's on my Grail list because it's super expensive. Let's see what else we got on. The Green Ghost game for $400. Again, why it's on my Grail list because it's super expensive. The Addams Family game, The Wizard of Oz from 1957. So yeah, I've got some interesting games on here, especially on the list. Let's see here. What about the game called Nuclear War? How many players does it play that game? That's a good question. Let me take a copy of it right here. Let's take a look. All right. So if you're not familiar with the game he's referring to, this is Nuclear War by Flying Buffalo Games. Flying Buffalo is out of, I think, Scottsdale, Arizona. They've put out multiple different versions of this. Nuclear escalation, nuclear proliferation. They came out with bonus cards, so you can actually tweak your game. You can make your own cards. I think this how many players. This game is for 2 to 6 players. So it's an interesting game. You got the super germ that's on here. Nuclear War is a fun game. I've played this game for years. It's highly entertaining. You have to drop nuclear weapons on your opponents, but you also can play secrets, deal with politic cards, and you're trying to cause your opponents to lose all their people. So, but Yeah, it's Nuclear War is a fun game, but yeah, it's I think you can still buy copies of it if you go on to Flying Buffalo's website. They still have copies that are completely brand new. So I would recommend taking a look at them. So um, let's see what else. Like I said, I've picked up a lot of oddball games over the years. A couple of my favorites that I picked up. Again, I picked up Broadside Boarding Parties, which is a two-player game. Uh, I have a copy of Inflation. I don't know. I don't know why it's so high. Well, Craig, inflation goes up, so I'm assuming that might be the reason for it. But that's the only answer I can give you. There are weird people out there that think this game is super rare and they put it online for $1,000 and hope some crazy person will buy it. Um, like like the Donald Trump game. You can find that game for $60, and there's a person that has it online for $10,000. Um, they're insane, and some crazy person may buy it, but I doubt it. So you never know. Um, there's all kinds of weird stuff like that. Let's see what else we got on here. Let's take a look at page two. Let's see what else we got. Hotels for $350. The Robin Hood board game for $350. See, I can understand Dark Tower because Dark Tower is rare. The 81 copy, it's hard to get a hold of. Tornado Rex, a couple $100. I can understand that. Some of these I don't know why. Uh, TSR Cohorts, which is a game of Roman checkers. I don't know why this game is $335. And I see it all the time. That's $335. And someone's dreaming. I mean, I can understand Green Ghost because Green Ghost is a rare game. There's not a lot of copies that are floating around in good shape. And I mean, even this copy is only 95% complete, and it's $239. So, yeah, I agree. Hotel is a fun game, Craig. I agree. Um, some of these you come across, they're just weird. Let's see. Let me find a good example on here. Uh, uh, and then you have to deal with some of the weird Greek games. $250 for the Transagram Hogan's Hero game. That's in rough shape. Transagram games are rare, so I mean I can understand that, but I don't know why they're super expensive. Let's see another good option on here. 1965 Flash Gordon for $250. Um, the Mega Virus for $200, which the Mega Virus, it talks to you. It's underprinted. I mean, I can see that, but again, some of these are. I don't know why they're so expensive. Let's see. The Twilight Zone for $225. Yeah, it's an ideal game. It's underprinted. It's really rare, and yeah, but I mean, for what the game is, you're just matching pictures. You're just building pictures. So it's not really anything. It's not a great game. Now, this I can completely understand. $225 for the SPI 1978 Dawn of the Dead game. Dawn of the Dead is the reason why this game is so expensive is because it's unpunched. This game right here, you can never find pieces for this game, ever. They don't even have reprints for this. You can't. Nobody's even gone through like Avalon Hill and crazy stuff. I can understand why this game is so expensive because it's unpunched. That's a very realistic reason. But then, you get crazy people that want $225 for Bakelite backgammon pieces. Nobody's going to buy that. So, board gaming is a very fickle market. So you have to dig through the insanity to find anything that's good. And don't get me wrong, I found some cool stuff on there. I picked up a copy of Nile on there. I've picked up a copy of let's see, what else did I pick up off? I picked up the replacement. I picked up the replacement pieces for Showdown Yahtzee offline. I've picked up interesting stuff off there. The copy of Lost Treasure I've got right there. It was a brand new copy that the box had the crap kicked out of it. It was a great copy. So I'm always a fan of finding fun and exciting things on eBay and online like that. I've picked up some interesting games off of Facebook Marketplace through Facebook user groups. But you have to really look at what you're getting and be very cautious because a lot of those games are either incomplete. If they say they don't know if they're complete, that means they either don't care, and 99% of the time they are not complete. So there's a reason why they're really cheap. So stay away from them because you're never going to find parts for them. Or if you find parts for them, each part's going to cost you like $25. Fireball Island, if you want to replace a marble, it's like $10 to get a right colored marble so that way it matches. It's a pain to find parts. And there's an entire market for parts. So you can buy Scrabble tiles, bases for cardboard figures, dice. Like I said, for Showdown Yahtzee, I got a new shaker cup for it that I was missing. So, yeah, it's a crazy, crazy thing. So, any other questions out there at all? Anybody want to ask? Because otherwise, I'm going to start wrapping this up for the evening. Doesn't look like it. Well, before I end the evening, I mentioned Escape from New York. Now, I took a look at Escape from New York's new Kickstarter that came out. I think it was October. I just got an email on it. They're ending their online purchasability for the Kickstarter on the 29th of April. So if anyone still wants to get in on their Kickstarter, it is still open. I would recommend taking a look at it. I do have a commercial for it, which I'm going to put up. So I would recommend taking a look at Escape from New York. And here we go.
In 1988, the crime rate in the United States rises 400%. The once great city of New York becomes the one maximum security prison for the entire country. A 50-foot containment wall is erected all around Manhattan Island. All bridges are mined, and the United States Police Force is encamped around the island. There are no guards inside the prison, only prisoners and the world they have made. The rules are simple. Once you go in, you don't come out. But now, the government must get one person out of this hell on earth. The President of the United States, who just went down inside New York City after his plane was hijacked. penetrating the city in force is too dangerous. So, the police decide to use a decorated ex-Special Forces soldier who became a dangerous criminal just sentenced to life in prison.
I'm not a fool, Pliskin.
Call me Snake.
You go in, find the president, bring him out in 24 hours, and you're a free man.
What if I'm a little late?
No more Snake Pliskin.
With deadly explosive charges in your neck, you have no other choice but to reach New York by air, rescue the president, and find the government tape before it's too late. Fortunately, you will have help on your mission, but beware, you will be short on time and some of you will only want to escape from New York. Escape from New York transports you into the iconic atmosphere of the 1982 film by movie master John Carpenter. Take on the role of Snake, Cabby, Brain, or Maggie and use their unique action cards to explore the dangerous streets of New York, fighting enemies and collecting useful items along the way. To win the game, you must search for the president, his case containing the government tape, and a diagram of the bridges so you can escape from the city without stepping on a landmine. You can work together searching for these things, or you may decide to secretly satisfy your own personal objectives at any moment during the game, escaping from New York alone and betraying your companions. Whatever your decision will be, you must face the gangs of Manhattan, headed by the Duke of New York, who will hinder you by moving prisoners and bosses to consume the short amount of time you have. The countdown has started. You must complete your mission before the timer runs out. Otherwise, all the heroes lose. Escape from New York, the greatest escape of them all, is about to blow the future apart.
So yeah, Escape from New York. It's you can still get a hold of their project, which I have the link here. It's a super crazy link, so I'm also going to put it in the comments below. But if you still want to get in on the Escape from New York board game that's out, it's available till April the 29th. So I think it runs like $139, but you get a whole bunch of extra expansions for it. You get a whole bunch of parts. So it has a whole bunch of minis. It has a ton of stuff. So I'd recommend taking a look at it if you are interested. It looks a lot like the TSR game, but the TSR game is a little more simplistic, which I think is better. This is a little more overly complicated, but I don't know. I think the minis are kind of cool looking. So yeah, I would recommend taking a look at it. So if you're interested in Escape from New York, the board game, and want to go down that road, and I know some people are not into newer games, but I would say what the heck. But like I said, I'm going to put this link down below, so that way, if you're interested in it, you still have access to it if you haven't heard of the Kickstarter before. So it's a pretty decent company. Pendragon's produced a lot of different games, so they have a pretty decent track record on stuff. I think their ETA for printing is December or January or something like that. But I figured I should put it out there, especially since I came across it recently, and somebody may be interested in it. So I figured, what the heck? But like I said, it's a little more complicated than the TRSR game, and it is a newer game, but the minis look pretty good. So what the heck? So does anyone else have any questions, thoughts, comments? Yeah, I'd like to play it too, Greg, but I don't know. It's just funding. I got to be very careful of what I purchase. So as much as I would love to drop $200 on a board game here, 200 there, 200 there, it racks up pretty fast. I'm still dealing with the fact that I paid $240 for Wolfenstein, the board game, with all the expansions, which I'm looking forward to playing that at some point. I did unboxings on everything, which are on the channel. So I'd recommend checking those out. again, that game has a ton of minis, and that came from Archon Studios in Poland. So obviously, gaming has turned into a big business industry nowadays versus back in the 50s and 60s when it was aimed at a fun little toy for kids. So, but don't get me wrong, some of those games are interesting, but some of them are really tediously the same. So, I don't really have anything else. If anyone else would like to talk about something or bring up a question. I'm glad I can answer all your questions. Thanks. Thanks for tuning into the stream. I appreciate that. And I do appreciate sticking with me on this live stream where I'm kind of just rambling through it. But I do appreciate it. And also, one final thing before I go, I do have another game that I am doing an unboxing on. Like I said, I do an unboxing every week. So Pizza Party drops today. Sail Ho, the playthrough drops tomorrow. And on Tuesday, we are doing an unboxing on Pandemic Hot Zone North America. So here is Pandemic Hot Zone North America.
All right, here's what I'm thinking for my turn. I give the Washington card to Dad, then head south to Miami and take out the yellow disease.
Love it. Then on my turn, I'll use my researcher ability to give cards to Dad, then head to Chicago to keep the blue disease under control.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect. Then I'll fly me and Pops over to New York so I can give him that card. That way, on his turn, he can head to the research center in Atlanta, and boom, blue disease cured. That sound good to you, Dad?
What? I'm not telling you my turn, cheater.
Dad, it's a co-op game, remember? We're all on the same team.
Oh, right. In that case, I should probably give back these cards I've been stealing.
You always do this.
But look, come on, we cured all 3 diseases.
Yeah, no thanks to you, Dad.
Can we play again?
So yeah, it's a standard pandemic game, but it's tailored themed to North America, which seems like a current events game. But I am doing an unboxing on Pandemic Hot Zone North America on Tuesday, so I'd recommend taking a look at that. And I do have some more stuff coming out the following week, which includes I've got the Roadrunner game coming from Parker Brothers. I've got, let's see, I have the Richie Rich board game, the FBI Crime Resistance game from the 70s coming. I've got playthroughs of Rubik's Race, Cynthia the Titanic, the $6 Million Man, and Yogi Bear game coming. And I've got unboxings on multiple different games, including Berserker from Flying Buffalo Games from the 80s and the new Back to the Future game that came out from Funko Games last year. So I do have a lot of stuff coming, and I'm looking forward to being able to bring more to the channel at some point soon, especially more playthroughs. I am doing another playthrough event at some point later this month, so that way I can get more stuff filmed for everybody. But I'm looking forward to it, and doesn't look like I have any further questions, so I'll probably call the stream here. So thank you, everybody, for sticking with me on the stream. Thank you for all your questions. And looking forward to bringing more to the channel. So if there's nothing else, until next time, everyone, have a great gaming day. And thank you, Craig. I appreciate all the support you've done over the years and sticking with the channel as much as you have. And please let me know when you actually get Bristol 1350 in the mail. I just want to make sure that it shows up correctly for you and everything's good. So, but until next time, everybody, have a great gaming day.